What's up, tricksters, and welcome to another episode of Exploring Boundaries with Loki Consulting. Today we're going to talk about the agile meetings. I hate that term, but that's 7 other videos. And we're going to talk about how to have them so they don't suck. We're going to define each meeting in terms of the desired outcomes for that meeting. Once you understand that, you'll understand the value of that meeting and you'll understand how to talk about those meetings usefully with your team. So, since we are a software product delivery team, the desired outcome is value delivered. I know, big shocker. Okay, well, let's talk about how to make that work. At the high level, we can think of most software product delivery teams as working within this lean delivery cycle, where the goal is to learn as much as you can to deliver more and more value over time, starting from the hypothesis that you don't necessarily know what is valuable to start with. This is really important because if you happen to already know what is valuable, then while there is value still in those meetings, you will find that you probably want to adjust them because a lot of the actual desired outcomes will no longer apply to you. If you look at the principles behind the Agile manifesto, you are going to find this one front and center. This is the first and the most important principle behind the Agile manifesto. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. This says everything there is to know about Agile. We are going to look at how the standard meetings that you probably see and have to deal with in your day-to-day work actually connect back out to this principle. So let's take a look at a standard iteration lasting 1 week from Wednesday to Wednesday. You'll notice that Wednesday has all the meetings, and then Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday only have stand-ups. This is on purpose. Part of the intent here is that most of the time you're going to have every day is going to be meeting free so you can focus on work. This is based on the concept of the maker versus manager schedule, where the managers are able to think about the work they have to do in concrete units of time. Here's a half-an-hour meeting, here's a 1-hour meeting, here's a thing we're going to do here, here's a thing we're going to do there. Whereas the makers deal with their time very differently. Okay, I need a day for this, I need a half a day for that. And interruptions in the maker schedule really have a strong impact on the actual delivery of things. Therefore, we really try to not interrupt the makers and to leave their days as open as possible. So we really only have 4 meetings we're trying to look at: the stand-up, the demo, the retrospective, and the planning meeting. And in the order in which we will normally think about them through each iteration, we'll think about the planning meeting first, and then we'll think about the demo happening at the end, and then the retrospective happening to close the loop entirely. And we'll treat the stand-up a little bit separately after the planning, demo, and retrospective, and you'll understand why when we get to it. Let's talk first about the desired outcomes for a planning meeting. We want to come out of the planning meeting with a team-level agreement. This means everyone agrees, not just engineers, not just product, not just designers, not just whoever. Everyone on the team agrees on what we are going to build and how much effort it's going to take. Let's think through this a tiny bit. For instance, what if the effort we currently believe it will take is thought to be too high for the value delivered? Well, we should have a conversation about that. We should rework what it is we're going to do. We should replan. Maybe we have to cut scope. Maybe we do it later. Maybe we do it not at all. These are all things that are acceptable conversations in the planning meeting and desired conversations in the planning meeting. The fact that we have a team-level agreement on what we are going to build is also important because it means we have a shared context. Every conversation we're going to have is going to be about these things. It means we all agree that's what we can do. It means we all agree that we can, in fact, do this, and we will, in fact, do this. Are we going to be right? Not all the time. We are guessing. That is estimation. We don't understand the work yet, not fully, so we are giving it our best effort at estimating and assessing the effort that we believe it will take. This will come back during the stand-up. Let's fast forward a couple of days to the end of the build time and the demo. We want the stakeholders at the demo because the desired outcome of the demo is that we have feedback from the stakeholders on whether what we have built is actually what will be useful to them. And the reason this is the desired outcome is because the stakeholders have done their best effort when it comes to figuring out what it is they want and what it needs to look like. But when you see it built, everything changes. Reality is so very different from fiction. So this is the absolute earliest moment the stakeholders can tell us this is what we want or this is not what we want. In other words, this translates to the least amount of time wasted as possible. It is okay to be wrong, but it would be much, much worse to be wrong, not know about it, and continue building on top of a wrong premise. So if we must backtrack, let's backtrack as little as necessary. Now on to my favorite topic, the retrospective. This will be the topic of at least 1 or 2 separate videos, but here, from an outcome perspective, we want to make sure we get better at doing the work. This means we must get better at finishing valuable work. If we find that we are not good at defining value, we should get better at that. If we find we are not good at qualifying or quantifying the value, or if we find that the value we defined was incorrect, we should get better at that. If we find that we are inefficient when it comes to building or delivering, we should get better at that, etc., etc., etc. As a team, we must work together, and we must work to get better at delivering value. And on to the stand-up. I have saved the best for last. The stand-up is a very, very simple meeting, but it has very, very deep implications. The desired outcome of the stand-up is that we have a team-level agreement on whether or not we are still on track to deliver the work we are committed to delivering. So if you remember, during the planning meeting, we agreed as a team on what we were going to build and how much effort it was going to be to build it. The stand-up is a time to check on that prediction. So what does this mean in practice? It means that if everyone who's doing the work, design, engineering, product, comes out of the meeting with the understanding that we are still on track, then we're good. Life is fantastic. We continue. This does mean the stand-up is the time to surface everything that might get in the way of the prediction being true, because it was just a prediction and we are humans and fallible. If someone is stuck, that is a time to surface it. If while someone is doing the work, they realize something about the definition of the behavior or the features that we are building that might change the value actually delivered, that is a time to surface it. And if for whatever reason something is actually taking much longer than anticipated, not because we're stuck, but because we understood the work incorrectly, that is the time to surface it as well. So what happens if we agree at the end of the stand-up that we are no longer on track to deliver on the commitment? Well, it's time to have a planning meeting. It's time to figure out what work is left. It is time to figure out what we think we can deliver, and it might be time to adjust scope, or it might be time to remove some work from the iteration. And it will be time in the retrospective to figure out why we estimated incorrectly in the planning meeting. This, for me, is the reason why the stand-up is one of the most valuable potential meetings that we can have as teams, and why it is often such a gross waste of time, because it is used as some kind of status report for which people could just send a message, send an email, whatever, put a message in Slack, who cares? If it's a status report, you don't all have to be there for it. Instead, everyone on the team should understand that they have equal responsibility for the success of the iteration. So If we go back to this loop, you will discover this is just the happy path. It is not how things must work. Every single stand-up is a checkpoint and a chance to say we are wrong and we must replan. We must adjust. We have learned new things and our understanding of the world is no longer what it was the day before. This kind of flexibility is just one of the reasons why Agile was called Agile. I hope this was useful for you. Feel free to leave a message in the comments and join my Discord if you want to talk further about the meetings and how they can be made more useful for you and your team. Hey Tricksters, thanks for watching. If you like this, smash that like, subscribe, and consider donating so I can keep making content for you. See you all next time.